Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a brand new season of the CIL Formula College Championship. We are coming live from the land of the rising sun here in Okayama, Japan for the Formula C Duels to kick off the season. I'm Matthew Nordberg. I'll be your broadcaster for this evening, and we have a fantastic race in store here for the first race of the season where we are using the Super Formula cars. And what better place to start the season off with these Japanese open wheel machines than in the home of these cars in Japan. This 2.27 mile track at an altitude of 872 feet is a very warm 129 degrees Fahrenheit, so expect tire preservation to be a big factor tonight in the race. These Super Formula cars, more downforce, more horsepower than the previous Formula 4 cars used in the CIL Formula C series last year. It's going to be a new challenge for our drivers as we have qualifying underway now here at Okayama. It's going to be a fantastic race as we have drivers returning, and we have a few newcomers as well as we ride on board here momentarily with our Muhammad Alif. He is your champion from last season as qualifying is underway right now. Single car qualifying, 8 minutes to get your laps in, as it looks like Muhammad Alif currently setting the provisional pole time right now with a 1:13.144. A couple other drivers still on the track, including his Ball State teammates, as we are going to look to go on board here with Cale Davidson on a bit of a slow lap right now, trying to get a feel of the tires underneath him at the moment. Cale Davidson currently sitting in the fourth position, as I believe he is about to come off the track as well. I think a lot of our drivers have just about finished up their flying laps in qualifying here. Looks like Ricky Paz here from Valparaiso University in the number 19, that gold and black SF23 machine is going to be incredible to watch here around Okayama tonight for their debut in the CIL Formula C series. Very interesting car. Push to pass overtake system with 200 seconds of overtake per race. That can be used once every 110 seconds. It's going to provide a couple extra horsepowers for these cars to get past each other on the straight. And you'll know it's active, or you know it's on cooldown when you see blinking. And once you get to within the final 20 seconds of usage on that push to pass system, that overtake system, OTS as it's called, that's when a red light is going to illuminate on the driver's roll hoop to let drivers around them know that they are low on that push-to-pass system. As Ricky Paz right now, still slow on his outlap right now, trying to keep those tires from getting too hot, that track temperature at 129 degrees. So it's definitely going to be a factor here tonight. As Ricky Paz is about to come around the final corner, let's ride on board with the Valparaiso driver for a flying lap as he spins coming out of the final corner. You see how hot that track is and how slick it is for these drivers, as Ricky Paz is going to have to tow and maybe re-prep his outlap here. Unfortunate for Ricky. Another driver on the track right now. It's Aiken Lamar out of Howard Community College. His qualifying lap is just about done. But let's get a ride back and we can take a look on board with, I believe, our Muhammad Alif, who is our provisional pole sitter. We'll have to see how he does here as we get ready to go on board with him for a qualifying lap for that provisional pole time. Our Muhammad Alif down into turn one, a very tricky corner. You have to get that right, and you can see how fast these cars are. You're barely out of turn one before turn two comes up onto you. A slight lift onto the gas early, and a couple of quick S's, which are pretty much flat out in these cars. As you get to this next turn, a very sweeping right-hander, almost a little bit off camber, and you really have to stick to that curb for a very long time. Our Muhammad Alif does a very good job exiting the corner there. You'd expect nothing less from our reigning Formula C student champion. Get down into this hairpin brake as late as possible. You have to be careful not to lock the tires. Looks like a slight lockup from the front right there from Alif, but no harm, no foul as he makes his way through the next couple of corners. Two quick left-handers, which you really have to be ready for. Quick on the brakes and kind of roll the car through the corner as you come up to another hairpin here, where you might expect to see a lot of overtaking as drivers struggle to come out of those slow-speed left-hander corners out of the backstretch, and these final sets of corners, very sweeping back and forth turns. Our Muhammad Alif through the final couple of corners, a very good lap for him. A little bit wide in the final corner. You can see just how tricky the track conditions are out there, even for our reigning champion. That's a lap around Okayama here from our defending champion, our Muhammad Alif out of Ball State University. A couple other drivers up and down the field you might recognize. Jordan Johnson from Kent State University. He's put in very good time before, but he's about 4/10 of a second behind our Muhammad Alif. And it looks like qualifying is about to be over for our drivers as we get ready to go into the first of two heat races at the Duels tonight. It's our Muhammad Alif from Ball State University on pole position with a 113.144. Jordan Johnson from Kent State University to his outside, only 4/10 behind. Rounding out the second row, two more students of Clint Halterman from UNC Charlotte and Lucas Moody from Ball State, Cale Davidson in fifth, and Bradley Skinker in sixth for Ball State as well. Aiken Lamar from Howard Community College in seventh, and Hunter Hadesti from Clemson, your first alumni in the field, in eighth. In ninth, it's Jason Wallet out of Drexel University. 10th will be Ricky Pass from Valparaiso. 11th, Patrick Stanley, a newcomer to the CIL from Ferris State. And 12th will be Austin Long from the Penn College of Technology. 13th is Alexander Diamond from Drexel University. 14th, Mark Turk from the Penn College of Technology. 15th, Andrew Burrell from Clemson University. 16th, Timothy Wilms from Drexel. 17th will be Dan Banner from St. Clair College. And last in the back of the field, it's going to be Ben Fiore from Morrison 18th and Nicholas Stockner from Clemson University in 19th. Have a couple moments to go here before our drivers are ready to go and the lights are out for this first of two heat races here in the Formula C Duels race. This is a non-points paying race, so this is just an exhibition race for our drivers to warm up, get used to the season, get used to these new cars, and maybe see who they're going to be racing this season as we look up and down this grid. And we are in for a fantastic race here as we are only a couple seconds away from the lights turning on. Our Muhammad Alif will be leading the field away from pole position, and to his outside, it's going to be Kent State's Jordan Johnson in second. But the lights are coming on as we get ready to go green here in the Formula C series for the first time with these Super Formula cars, and the lights are on. And away we go. They held him for a little long. It looks like a great start from Jordan Johnson, a poor start from your car in third back there. I believe that's Cale Davidson and Clint Halterman as they stream down towards turn one right now. Looks like a little bit of chaos going off the track further in the back. I believe that is Lucas Moody, one of the Ball State cars, who was unable to keep it on the track, but it looks like Kent State's Jordan Johnson has taken the lead from our Muhammad Alif in the first corner as they stream down towards this long back stretch. It's going to be Kent State and Jordan Johnson in the lead right now as we ride on board with our Muhammad Alif. As they stream down towards this long backstretch hairpin, this is going to be one of the key overtaking opportunities. We see Aiken Lamar trying to make it move down the inside of Alexander Diamond. Can't make that stick. Right now, looks like a couple of drivers who were involved in incidents in that first corner. Austin Long, Jason Wallet, Lucas Moody, all drivers who started further up the field now finding themselves in the back of the pack. First lap plays out here right now. Jordan Johnson has a good lead of 1 second over our Muhammad Alif out of Ball State University right now. Coming through the last couple of corners, we see Aiken Lamar trying to make a move there on Alexander Diamond. Gets a little deep into the corner. He has to hit the brakes. Mark Turek is dropping down the timing towers right now as we finish lap one. Your leader, Kent State's Jordan Johnson, followed by our Muhammad Alif and Cale Davidson, both from Ball State. Those two Cardinals looking to chase down the leader. You see a battle developing here between third place Cale Davidson and fourth place Clint Halterman at Ball State versus UNC Charlotte. Remember to keep an eye out for those roll hoops. Those green lights will tell you if it's blinking, you are out of push to pass. You see our Muhammad Alif there blinking. That means he's currently in the cooldown period for push to pass. It used to be that the blinking meant that you were in push to pass, but Super Formula has changed the rules in recent years so that you can't tell when a driver's in push to pass because it allowed for too much defensive use of that push to pass, looking in the mirrors and seeing a blinking roll hoop. So right now, that roll hoop, you can't quite tell if the overtake is on unless you see on the dash of the driver if that overtake is active. You see Clint Halterman here really hustling the back of Cale Davidson, riding on board with him now through the penultimate corner. Clint Halterman a little bit wide in that final corner, and that's going to cost him a good chunk of time getting in that gravel. Not quite as much grip as you'd find on the asphalt, as Jordan Johnson has set a race best 115.049 at the front of the pack. Further down through the field, Bradley Skinker from Ball State looking to make a move on Nicholas Stockner. Backs out of it after being on the inside down into turn one. You see that roll hoop blinking for Nicholas Stockner and Bradley Skinker, so both drivers are on the cooldown for push to pass at the moment. You can see just how much more down, almost into the back of Nicholas Stockner there. Bradley Skinker deep into the corner, and that's going to cost him a little bit of time. But behind them, Ben Fiore looks like he's slipped through now from Morris College, and up to the front, Clint Halterman is dropping a couple spots as well. We see Clint Halterman off in the gravel there. Not sure if there's damage for that North Carolina at Charlotte machine, but it looks like all four wheels are pointing the right direction at the moment. So Clint Halterman was sitting up in 4th and now finds himself in 9th. See a gaggle here between Stockner, Fiore, Bradley Skinker, all these cars. Oh, big spin from behind. Looks like there might have been contact there, but it looks like Bradley Skinker maybe locked the rear wheels and sent that car around. We'll have to get a replay of that as at the front. Jordan Johnson is extending his lead right now with a 114.454. Nick Stockner trying to hold on to his position right now. Just trying to keep his car under him. We see Austin DeLong there in the pits trying to repair damage. And Stockner under pressure from Jason Wallet. Riding on board with Drexel University's Jason Wallet here. You can see how fast these corners come up. This Super Formula car, tons of downforce, tons of horsepower. It's a very different challenge than what our drivers faced last year in the Formula 4 car, which is a bit slower. You see that rear axle blinking for Nicholas Stockner. That means he has utilized some push to pass to maybe stay ahead. Jason Wallet, a little earlier on the brakes there, trying not to get involved in an incident with the Clemson University driver ahead of him. But we see Nick Stockner. That roll hoop currently blinking still, so his push to pass is not active at the moment. He used it to defend, and now he's going to be coming under pressure from Jason Wallet here. If Jason Wallet is willing to use a little bit of that push to pass maybe, but thinks better of it. He's going to try to pull a little bit of an over-under. He's trying to use that outside lane and trying to carry the momentum and get past the Clemson University driver. Can't do it this time around, and we see our Muhammad Alif set a session or race best lap. So it seems like the front two right now trading race best laps. Up ahead a little bit, Clint Halterman is currently in a fight with Alexander Diamond. We see Diamond there, his roll hoop is blinking, so he has used a little bit of that push to pass to defend from Clint Halterman behind. Clint Halterman, though, also now blinking. We're going to ride on board Clint Halterman, see if he can get this overtake done. We see that overtake is on, and it looks like he's going to turn it off getting into the corner. He can't quite get the move done, but a lockup from Alexander Diamond is going to open the door from the North Carolina at Charlotte driver, trying to make a move around the outside here, and he's going to hang on tight, use all the momentum he can, get around this corner, and he slides his way through, and he's able to get past Alexander Diamond from Drexel University there. A great move to move himself up into 7th after dropping from 4th earlier on. Back up the front, it's our Muhammad Lee from Ball State University has closed the gap at the front to within 1 second of Jordan Johnson, our reigning Formula 2 champion, trying to hunt down the lead he lost off the start. One thing to note about that push to pass, you have 200 seconds over the course of the race to utilize push to pass, the overtake system. But between each utilization of the OTS, you have to wait 100 seconds before you're able to utilize that push to pass button again. So it's important for these drivers to manage when it's available to them, not only how much of it they're using, but how often they can use it. Around here, that's about once a lap. A lap around here is about 110, 115 seconds. Scratch that, it's about 80 seconds if my math was correct. So you can use it maybe once per lap and maybe on the back end of the next lap. As we see Jason Wallet, looks like he's going side by side as he's actually in the gravel. And Jason Wallet was able to get past Nicholas Stockner after a mistake from the Clemson University driver, sent him off the track. And look back at the front of the field again. Our Muhammad Alif has put in another race best lap time of a 113.976. He's the only driver in the 113s right now. That brings him to within only about 6-7 tenths of Jordan Johnson. This race is 25 laps long. So there's still plenty of time for a Leaf to catch up and get past the Kent State University driver. These two do have a little bit of history. They've raced each other for many a seasons now in the CIL. And it's important to note when you're riding on board with these drivers, that blue light on the right side of their steering wheel, that tells them that push to pass is available. There's going to be a purple light which will tell them when it's not available on the left-hand side, and when it's flashing, that means they know it's on. But Clint Halterman, another driver currently trying to make his way back to the field after a mistake early on. Currently sitting in the 6th position right now, only within half a second of Howard Community College's Aiken Lamar. We'll see how this fight develops over the next couple laps. Aiken Lamar is doing a good job so far, but how much longer can that last? See, Aiken Lamar has the slow blinking roll hoop and right over his helmet, so that tells you that he has used some of his push to pass to defend. And that roll hoop is blinking faster. That is when you are active on the push to pass on the overtake system. So it's very important for drivers to keep an eye on that. Our Muhammad Leaf still at the front of the field in second, now about 0.5 of a second behind Jordan Johnson. That gap's been closing slowly over the past couple laps by about a 1/10 or 2 each time they cross the stripe, so that battle is still heating up. See ahead, they got a little bit of lap traffic that they have to worry about. That's a Penn College of Technology car ahead of them. Not quite sure if it's Mark Turek or if it's Austin Long. Both Penn College of Technology cars involved in incidents in the first lap, and that College of Technology car is going to let him by. He's going to be a good sport with the blue flag, and look at that. Our Muhammad Leaf with another race best lap of a 1:13.738. He's really closing the gap to Jordan Johnson ahead. Really, that gap now only less than a car length as they exit the corner here on this long back stretch. A Leaf deeper into the corner, but a good exit from Jordan Johnson will allow him to pull away down the back stretch. We see both drivers have the slow blinking on their roll hoop, which means that they can't use push to pass. They've been using it to fight each other a little bit. Vin Fiore in a battle with Alexander Diamond as well for the 7th position right now, but this fight at the front is heating up at the moment. Good job from Jordan Johnson so far, keeping his head on him. That gap is stabilized now at about 5 to 6/10 of a second. It's going to be very difficult to get underneath that rear wing of Jordan Johnson. Obviously, the dirty air has an effect on these cars. As they come down into turn 1, both cars still unable to use push to pass. Actually, it looks like our Muhammad Leaf is able to use push to pass again. You see that solid green on his roll hoop. It means his cooldown period has expired. He's ready to use that overtake system again, and Jordan Johnson's roll hoop is also solid green. As we see that flash, that fast blinking on our Muhammad Leaf, he's decided to use that overtake system again, get back to the rear wing of Jordan Johnson, make sure that he stays within under half a second as they come down this back stretch. Looks like Jordan Johnson is still slow blinking there, so he doesn't have that overtake system available. Now our Muhammad Leaf trying to look to the inside there. He's used that overtake pretty well to get side by side, or at least try to make a dive bomb there, but he couldn't quite get the move to stick as he exits turn 7 now. Looks like he's still going to have to settle for 2nd place. Vin Fiore, though, he is hoping to get past Alexander Diamond here in the next couple of laps. The top 10 invert is still a rule here in the CIL that is enforced. So there are 2 races, 25 laps for each race tonight. After the first race, we'll have a second race where the top 10 are inverted. So that's going to be something to watch out for here after race 1. But Jordan Johnson has done a good job of utilizing push to pass to defend. Now we can see further back in the field, Alexander Diamond is under immense pressure from Vin Fiore right now. Looks like Alexander Diamond has used the push to pass. It's not available to defend at the moment. Vin Fiore, he's still not quite using that push to pass yet. That overtake system not active at the moment, but I expect it to see become available here momentarily when he comes out of the final corner. That's probably one of the best spots to use it, just because you get the ability to use that down the long straightaway, gain a couple extra horsepower, and maybe get side by side with the guy iRacing. But no, that push to pass stays off for Fiore and Mars College. So another lap ticks off, and Alexander Diamond is still holding on to that 7th position at the moment. You see Alexander Diamond, he was using it to defend there. And you see that flash, that fast blinking on the roll hoop. He's got push to pass active now. As Hunter Hidesti looks like he's going to be racing with Andrew Burl here momentarily. That gap only a couple tenths of a second now further back. That is 2 Clemson University drivers going out of here. It looks like Burl is going to hold on to the outside line, and Hunter Hidesti's looking to the inside. Looks like Hidesti locks up the brakes, getting into the corner. Is he going to be able to stay on the track? He will, but will he be able to hold on the inside of turn 6 here? No, a great move around the outside from Andrew Burl to hold on to the 9th position for now. Of how much longer can Hidesti, how much longer can Burl hold on? We see Hidesti in the back there. His overtake system is not active. Slow blinking indicates that it's not on, and it's in the cooldown period, so he has to wait about 100 seconds. I'd say from now probably about 30 seconds since we've been watching to turn on that push to pass, that overtake system. But down into turn 1, he might not need it. He might dive without it. He doesn't quite get there to make the move on his Clemson University teammate. Further up the field, looks like side by side between Morris and Alexander Diamond. That's Morris and Drexel making the move down into turn 4. Spin out of Alexander Diamond coming out of turn 4. Trying to defend for Morris College. He's unable to keep the tires underneath him, and he spins that car around. A good job of collecting himself and making sure he stays out of the way of the drivers, but that's going to hurt his race as he drops now to 11th position, and that's outside the top 10 invert positions, and he's got about 1.8 seconds to his Drexel teammate in Jason Wallet to get back in that top 10. Lucas Moody and Bradley Skinker are currently fighting for the 12th position. The 2 Ball State University cars, trying to get used to these SF23 cars. Very different than the Formula 4 cars we were racing last year. Obviously more horsepower, but the tires are a completely different beast as well. You know, the compounds do matter on these tires. You don't want to overheat these tires because it'd be very easy to slip up with the tires and overslip the car, and then you're really in trouble then. And with these cars, it's so hard to collect a slide. There's so much horsepower underneath that right foot of these drivers, but they're doing a very good job of managing it. We do see Lucas Moody there. I think he has damage to his front wing, so it's going to be tough for him to get underneath his Drexel University teammate and maybe make a pass, but we'll see. As Jason Wallet now is making a move. He's within half a second of Andrew Burl. We see that overtake on for Jason Wallet. That roll hoop blinking fast right now. We saw on board as well that screen lit up green as Muhammad Ali set a race best 113.68 here. Again, he's very quick at the moment, but can he get past his teammate, or excuse me, his rival of Jordan Johnson? Former teammates, they might not be very happy about that. They've raced each other clean for multiple seasons now, and I expect that to continue here, but how much longer will Elif be willing to wait before he makes that move? Jason Wallet, though, falling back a little bit from Andrew Burl. Coming through the penultimate corners now. It looks like Ben Fiore, though, has also just gotten past Aiken Lamar out of Howard Community College. Ben Fiore is on a bit of a charge right now. The CIL, last season was his rookie season in the CIL. He had a great account of himself, and he's looking to improve upon that here in the second season he's in season 10 overall of the CIL here in the spring of 2024. Happy New Year, everyone. Looking forward to a fantastic season here, as the Duels have already showed us the potential of this series around very tight and technical tracks such as Okayama. Plenty of different tracks that come on this calendar, but right now we're focused on the battles here as Jason Wallet is back within half a second of Andrew Burl, coming down the long back stretch into turn 5. Can he make the move? He looks inside, but thinks better of it and moves back to the outside, back on the racing line, tucks underneath that Clemson University rear wing. And I'm sure he's getting tired of seeing that orange and purple in front of him. He just wants to make his move himself up into the top 10 further. But you have to remember, he's in the top 10 invert position. He's going to be on reverse grid pole if he can stay there. But speaking of pole, I think it's important to look at the battle at the front because that gap is now closed to with under half a second. We see both drivers using their overtake system to defend and attack at the moment. Can Alif get there side by side with Jordan Johnson? Not quite. It's so difficult to make a pass around here sometimes. You know, it's a very technical track. Only a couple of true overtaking spots down into turn 1, the big one and most popular. But you can't forget turn 5, the hairpin down after the end of the backstretch. And even turn 8, which we're going through right now. Turn 9, known as Hobbs, this long right-hander, almost off camber a little bit. And then 2 final corners, the penultimate corner, the Mike Knight corner, turn 10. And then lastly, turn 11, back onto this front stretch. Muhammad Alif right now still about half a second behind. We saw him dip a couple of, or just a little bit of that tire into the gravel there. He's going to lose out a little bit as he still set the faster lap than Jordan Johnson there. About 4/10 quicker that time by, but it doesn't matter how fast you're going. It just matters that you get past him. And Jordan Johnson is quick where it matters, and that's into those long straightaways on exit or corner exit, and he's defending very well right now. Bit of a lockup there from Jordan Johnson that might give Alif a little bit of time there. He might be able to catch up just a touch, but obviously not quite close enough to make a move there coming out of turn 7. Down into turn 8, we see both drivers still no overtake system available. It's going to be very important as we get down into these final 10 laps of how much push to pass, how much overtake did you save for these final laps. Obviously, these drivers want to have as much extra horsepower as they can, but you never want to let your enemy know how much you have left. And once we see those roll hoops start to turn red, we know that these drivers have under 20 seconds of overtake remaining. So it's going to be important to watch that mirror and make sure that roll hoop of your fellow racer is turning red as we get down to these closing laps. We see Muhammad Alif there now on the overtake system. He's on the button. Can he make the move here? The gap, 0.3 of a second. What's Jordan Johnson going to do here? Jordan Johnson also defending with the overtake system right now. Down into turn 5, the hairpin. Looks like Alif's going to look inside. Oh, he's going to send it. He's going to move a little bit of a move there. Stick a nose to the inside, but can Jordan Johnson defend? And he does a good job of hanging on around the outside of the hairpin, trying to hold on to the lead right now. A bit of an opportunistic move from Muhammad Alif there. You know, it's not going to work very often to just really send it. And honestly, he's a bit lucky that Jordan Johnson gave him a little bit of room. Maybe Jordan Johnson a little bit deep into the corner. Kind of had to allow the position there, but able to stick around the outside of the hairpin in the lead and then have the inside line for the next corner. That's what you really need to do here if you're defending at the hairpin. But another lap goes by. Jordan Johnson still in the lead. The gap 0.4 of a second. Neither driver having push to pass available now. They're going to have to wait about 100 seconds before they get access to that again. Two drivers have really pulled away from the drivers behind. The gap from Muhammad Alif to his Ball State teammate is now 20 seconds back to third. An incredible race between these two drivers so far, but there's still plenty of laps to go, and it's all about who can get that first position. And it's so hard to pass here. We saw how difficult it was for Alif to get side by side, and that overtake system plays a role as well. And we don't know how much overtake these drivers have left. But it looks like they're about to get their overtake system back here momentarily. It's all about the strategy with how you play that overtake system. Do you want to use it in long bursts? Do you want to use it in quick, short 10-15 second bursts? It all depends on if you're defending or if you're attacking. But we do have a lap car up ahead of our leaders right now. Not quite sure who that is. It looks like a Ball State car, I believe, of maybe Bradley Skinker. Not quite sure, as Jordan Johnson sets the race best 113.674, about 1.5 tenths quicker than Muhammad Alif that time by. So maybe Jordan Johnson has saved his tires. This track temp is a blistering 129 degrees Fahrenheit. That's over 100 degrees. No, that's about 55, 60 degrees Celsius for those of you who use the inferior temperature system. But R. Muhammad Leaf now unable to get underneath that rear wing of Jordan Johnson. The gap, 6/10 now. It was growing as they exited turn 5, I should say, but down into the hairpin. Looks like R. Muhammad Leaf tried to send that one in there, couldn't quite get it to stick. And at this point, if you're R. Muhammad Leaf, are you getting desperate? Are you going to try to start sending moves a little bit deeper? Are you going to get a little more aggressive with your moves, maybe? We'll have to see, because if he's used all of his tire to get to Jordan Johnson and try to overtake him, Jordan Johnson might have just been cruising, and he might have saved that tire so he could push harder for these final 5-6 laps here. Elsewhere throughout the field right now, our biggest movers in this race right now, Dan Banner, he's currently sitting in 11th right now. We just saw him get lapped by Jordan Johnson. He's currently up 6 spots from his starting grid. Andrew Burl up 5. Ricky Paz, he's in 5th. He's up 5. And Alexander Diamond in 8th. Also up 5 positions. We see Leaf on that overtake button now. We see he has about 86 seconds left, and there's only 6 laps left in this race. So it's going to be interesting to see how much he uses that overtake. Oh, big lock up there on the right front for Leaf. That's not going to help his tire wear at all. And he's able to get the corner. The car slowed down in time for the corner. So he's still within touching distance of Jordan Johnson ahead. Jordan Johnson must be mirror watching, because every time a Leaf uses that button, we see Jordan Johnson doing the same. And with how much push to pass these drivers have left, it's likely that they're just going to be getting on the button a lot more in these final couple of laps. So expect the lap times to drop a little bit and really push and get into that qualifying mindset that every lap from here on out needs to be as fast as possible to keep that driver behind. R. Muhammad Leaf there with a blistering 113.389. We just said it, that expect those lap times to come down a little bit as our drivers start to use a bit more of their push to pass here. That's exactly what happened there. Previous bests were in the high 113s, 113.6, 113.7. Now, about 3/10 off that, a 113.3 or 113.4. These drivers are getting faster as the fuel burns off, as they use more of their overtake. It'll be interesting to see if any of these drivers overstep a little bit too, because as you get quicker, you maybe get a little too happy on the loud pedal. Maybe you lose a little bit of focus as you get into the ends of these long 25-lap races. Short lap around here, but all these corners come up on you so quickly. It's very difficult to kind of stay focused and make sure that your car is under you and you're not losing that concentration. But the gap at the lead right now, 0.7 of a second. It hasn't been that big. And a good couple of laps here for Jordan Johnson. So Jordan Johnson feeling pretty good about himself as we finish lap 21. We come over the line now to start lap 22 of 25 here in the first of 2 races for the Formula C opener here at Okayama for the Duels. About equal there on lap time between our 2 leaders, so not much in it for our drivers. We saw that lap they had the push to pass, that overtake system active. They were in the 113.3s, 113.4s. Now they're getting back into the 13.7s, 13.8s, given that they're not using that overpass and overtake anymore. Excuse me. We see the overtake is available to our Muhammad Leaf. We see the blue light indicated on his steering wheel, and we'll see that solid green roll hoop now coming out of turn 5. Overtake is also available for Jordan Johnson as well. We know a Leaf has about 75 seconds, give or take, of overtake available still. Not quite sure what the number is on Jordan Johnson from Kent State University, but I would hazard to guess to say it's about the same, and there's only 3 laps left. So I expect these drivers to use all of their push to pass here in the next 2 or 3 laps. You don't get to carry it over to the next race, so you better use it before you lose it as they come out of the final corner. 2 laps to go, or 3 laps, excuse me, to go here in race 1 of 2 at Okayama for the Duels. Right now, Jordan Johnson still holding about a 0.7 of a second lead. Right now, Hunter Hadesti has had a very good race. You saw him back fighting for 10th earlier. He is now up into 6th. Not our biggest mover, though. As I mentioned earlier, right now, Andrew Burl up 6th, Dan Banner up 7. Dan Banner for St. Clair College currently sitting in 10th. He will be on reverse grid pole if he's able to hold on to that position. But Bradley Stinker is chasing him down right now. for the last points paying. Well, I would say last points paying position, but there are no points paid out in the duels. This is a race to get familiar with the car, familiar with your opponents. There's a big lockup there from Leaf into the hairpin. It's going to cost him a little bit of time. Last part up ahead of our leaders right now. I believe that is Andrew Burrell, the AAA car from Clemson University. I believe it is, yes. Or maybe it might be Hunter Hidesti. Our front two have really pulled away from the pack right now. How much is this lap traffic going to impact our leaders right now? That gap is only about 0.3 of a second, so it's really impacted our leaders, and it's allowed Muhammad Alif to catch right back to the back of Jordan Johnson. Only 2 laps to go now as they enter into turn 1. Muhammad Alif is the closest he's been for a while. That lap traffic really playing a role here in the fight for the win in the first race. I think it particularly impacted Jordan Johnson, and what's the matter now is who's on that push to pass. We see Alif, the blinking roll hoop. He is on the overtake system, and I believe Jordan Johnson will get on the overtake system as well out of this final corner, or the turn 5, and he does. 50 seconds left for Alif, 120 seconds of overtake left for Jordan Johnson. So Jordan Johnson, he's going to go defensive here down into turn 5, the hairpin. He's got all the time in the world on that overtake button, but does he know how much time Alif has behind? Is he just going to stay on that button for the rest of this race? We're not quite sure. Only 30 seconds left for Alif. That's about only half a lap. So he's going to get back to the stripe and be out of overtake, while Jordan Johnson will still have almost half another lap to go. And the gap only 0.3 of a second right now. Can Alif get to the inside of Jordan Johnson? We see that red roll hoop now. We know Alif is low on that overtake button, and we have 1 lap to go here in the first of 2 races tonight here from Okayama. Your leader, Jordan Johnson, leads Muhammad Alif from Ball State by only 0.4 of a second right now. Jordan Johnson has done a fantastic job defending the lead right now. We saw how much push to pass he had left. It looks like he's going to be off the button now. No, correction, he's still on the overtake, so he's using it while he still has it. You can use it in, I believe, 100-second increments. And if he's got 100 seconds left, he might as well use the rest of it here on this last lap. Muhammad Alif is completely out of overtake. It's going to be difficult to catch up to Jordan Johnson now. The gap 0.4 of a second. Will Alif send it here into the hairpin? No. He tucks right underneath the rear wing of Jordan Johnson. Only a few corners left to get the win here for Muhammad Alif and Ball State University. Jordan Johnson with plenty of overtake still. We see that that rear crash structure is still blinking, and we see his roll hoop is still blinking as well. He's still on the overtake button. He's got plenty of it. He's done a great job to conserve overtake. Now it's under 20 seconds, but we see him sliding the tires to the final corner there. And coming to the line here momentarily, Jordan Johnson has done fantastic to take the lead off the start and lead from turn 1 to the end of this race. Jordan Johnson out of Kent State University will take the first race win here tonight at Okayama for the Duels with a race best 13.310. Fantastic race at the front of the pack. It's going to be interesting to see how this reverse grid shakes things up. Still coming across the line right now. Third place, Cale Davidson about 30 seconds back, but Jason Wallet is hunting down Hunter Hidesti in these final corners now to maybe take away that 6th place from the Clemson driver. We see the overtake on Jason Wallet right now. We see that blinking roll hoop. How much overtake is Hunter Hidesti using right now? You can't quite tell. That roll hoop is completely off. That means he has no overtake available. Can Jason Wallet get there to that rear wing in the final couple of corners? I don't think he can. I think Hunter Hidesti from Clemson University is going to hold on to that 6th place. Maybe one more lap, and maybe Jason Wallet would have had enough overtake to get past the Clemson University driver. But Jason Wallet will have to settle for 7th, and Hunter Hidesti crosses the line in 6th for Clemson University. Last driver coming across the line now is Lucas Mui from Ball State University. He will come home to take an 8th place finish as he takes the checkered flag. A good race from the Ball State University driver after being involved in an incident early on, going off the track. But that's going to do it for your first heat tonight. Going through your Heat 1 results, Jordan Johnson out of Kent State University takes home the win. over 6/10 of a second over R. Muhammad Alif out of Ball State University. A very good fight at the front of the field. A bit tactical, trying to use the overtake to the best of their advantage and really have a little bit of gamesmanship and see who can stretch out that overtake the longest. That is so important in these Super Formula cars, and it brings a whole new strategy element to the racing here. But R. Muhammad Leaf will take home second, and Cale Davidson will take home third here in race one, both from Ball State University. Cale Davidson couldn't quite keep up with the front two, way quicker than the fourth on back, so a bit of a lonely race for your third place finisher. In fourth place, Clint Halterman had a spin early on, but he recovered very nicely to finish in fourth for North Carolina at Charlotte. In fifth, it's Ricky Pass from Valparaiso who finished fifth. Hunter Hadesti in sixth for Clemson University. Jason Wallet with a good seventh for Drexel University. Lucas Moody takes home eighth for Ball State. Ninth will be Andrew Burrell from Clemson University, one lap down. And Dan Banner, the St. Clair College driver, is going to come home in 10th. The sole Canadian in the field tonight will be leading the second race from pole position, so that's going to be a daunting challenge for our friend from up north. Bradley Skinker out of Ball State University will finish 11th, and 12th will be Timothy Williams out of Drexel University, 2 laps down. Patrick Stanley, a newcomer to the CIL, will finish in 13th for Ferris State University. 14th is Austin DeLong out of Penn College of Technology. 15th is Alexander Diamond from Drexel. 16th is Ben Fiore from Morris College. 17th will be Aiken Lamar from Howard Community College, and 18th will be Clemson University's own Nicholas Stockner finishing down there. And then 19th, Mark Turk from Penn College of Technology will round out your field. Very, very interesting heat one. Lots of racing up and down the field, and you could really see, even though these cars are a bit faster and the field spreads out a bit more, there is still an interesting strategy element that these cars did not have when we were in the Formula 4 car. You have that push to pass, which plays such an important factor, and those drivers who can use that push to pass the best really, really find their way to the front of the pack. You really got to use it trying to, towards the end of the race, at the beginning of the race, and then making those key overtakes when you're maybe just stuck behind the driver and you can't quite get past them. Those couple extra horses in that engine, when you push that button, definitely helps a lot to improve the overtaking and improve the racing product. Interesting thing to note about these Super Formula cars, for those who don't know, there are two separate Super Formula cars technically. There's a Honda engined one and a Toyota engined Super Formula car, just how it would be in the real life Super Formula series. Both engines are identical, however, so there is no big difference between the Toyota or the Honda engine. More of a personal preference for our drivers. Obviously, very, very powerful engines. They are V4 engines, supercharged or turbocharged, so they are amazing sounding as well as super powerful. These cars provide a lot of good racing, and they're a spectacle to watch for sure. As we get ready for our second race here tonight, we have a little bit of a warm-up session for our drivers to cool down a little bit, allow themselves to maybe get reaccustomed to the track after being out due to an incident early on, but still plenty of racing to go on here tonight. Second race is going to be very interesting with a top 10 invert. Always one of the hallmarks of this Formula C series. Makes it super interesting to make sure that both races are interesting. You don't want the drivers who win race one to kind of just pull off in the distance in race two again. Got to give them a bit of a different challenge in these six-speed Formula, Super Formula cars. As our warm-up session has now come to an end, and we are getting ready to grid here for race two to run through your top 10 Dan Banner from St. Clair College will start on the pole position. Andrew Burrell will start to his outside with Lucas Moody from Ball State in third. Jason Waller from Drexel will be in fourth, and Hunter Hidesti in fifth for Clemson University. Ricky Paz in sixth for Valparaiso, and Clint Halterman in seventh for North Carolina at Charlotte. Cale Davidson will start eighth. R. Muhammad Leaf in ninth, and Jordan Johnson, who finished on the top step of the podium in race 1, will be starting 10th in race 2. As we get ready to go green here, we look at our drivers down this grid. It's going to be an interesting 25 laps here at Okayama, a very fun track, a super technical track as these cars get ready to rev those 2000cc 600 horsepower engines to get ready to put all that power down. There is traction control and launch control in these cars, so while it's still difficult to get these cars off the line, it's still incredible to watch as we get ready to go green here for race 2, and we are green. A good start there. It looks like for who's that on the inside? That's Valparaiso in the 19 as they stream down into turn 1. Contact behind. Looks like Hunter Hidesti is caught up in the accident. There's a Ball State car involved as well. We see contact, more contact, as Clemson cars involved there with Bradley Skinker out of Ball State University. Chaos up and down the field right now. R. Muhammad Leaf was able to avoid all the chaos, and he's already up into second place as there is a full course caution out on track right now for the chaos that had happened in turn 1. The yellow flag is out. Ricky Pass from Valparaiso had a fantastic start and jumped to the inside. He is able to hold on to the lead right now. And second, it's R. Muhammad Leaf and Cale Davidson in third. Jordan Johnson in fourth. The CIL newcomer Patrick Stanley finds himself in the fifth position. Sixth will be Clint Halterman. Seventh will be Drexel's Alexander Diamond. Eighth, Ben Fiore, Austin Long in ninth, and Aiken Lamar in 10th. Lots of chaos there off the start. We'll have to get a replay to see exactly what happened. Coming to the start here, looking at Ricky Pass, who had a fantastic start. That number 19 car from Valparaiso University, a fantastic start, starting on, I believe that was the third row, and an incredible jump. And we see, I think that's R. Muhammad Leaf behind him as well, who also had a fantastic jump. And he looks like there's contact between the Drexel and Clemson cars. Looks like Burrell spun off the track, off the front row, exiting the first corner. Getting a look back to see what exactly happened there. Taking a look with Andrew Burrell here. We have several cars in the pit lane right now repairing some damage. Poor start from Drexel University there. I believe that's Alexander Diamond. As we see Burrell in the lead into turn 1, but he goes too deep, touches the gravel and spins up those rear wheels. A good job of other people avoiding him, but it looks like one of the Ball State cars, I believe Bradley Skinker, just did not see him spinning across the track, involved in a little bit of contact there. To get a look back and see who the Drexel car was that was involved in some of that contact. Yeah, it seems like Hunter Hidesti got maybe tagged by a Ball State car, who then took out a couple of the other cars around him. A Ball State car, Timothy Williams in the 78 there. So super unfortunate for those drivers. Obviously not how they wanted to start their second race, but this second race historically has been a much more chaotic endeavor. Obviously you're having some of the faster guys start back in 10th, 8th, 9th. We just saw how much Leaf and Johnson gapped the field there in that first race. So having that much of a speed difference between drivers from 1st to 10th can kind of introduce a bit of unpredictability in a turn 1, and we certainly saw it there. And that's only enhanced by how powerful these Super Formula cars are and how difficult they are to get off the line. You know, there is no while there is a launch control, it is still difficult to get these cars off the line just because of how much horsepower these inline 4 turbocharged engines have. So definitely going to be something to watch throughout the season to see how these drivers react to having this much power underneath that right foot of theirs. And you got to be careful on that pedal, or you're going to maybe either spin out on the start, or hell, you could even just bog down like we've seen a couple times from our drivers tonight. As these cars come down the front stretch again, we see Barney the flagman there still waving his yellow flag loud and proud, making sure that all these drivers know that the course is under safety car conditions. But those lights on the pace car have turned off, and we're going to get back to green flag racing at the end of this lap. As our drivers stream past our camera here in the ground, entering turn 1. It's definitely going to be an interesting restart here. The first time these drivers are going to be participating in a Super Formula single file restart off of a safety car period. It's going to be something to watch. Will these drivers use that overtake system to get ahead or defend in this first restart down into turn 1? Great shot here from our camera crew, getting these cars coming out of turn 3 there. You just see how unique these cars are. Super Formula cars are the second fastest car on Earth in terms of open wheel racing, only behind, of course, Formula 1. A little bit quicker than IndyCar, but IndyCar, it's a bit heavier. It's got to be more multi-purpose, right? These cars were built for road course racing. Dallara, the chassis manufacturer, about 660 pounds for the chassis weight. That includes the driver. Actually, correction, that does not include the driver. So 660 pounds, which is it's pretty nice. It's pretty light. It allows these cars to be pretty agile, and they provide great racing. So we're about to get ready to go back to green here. It's Ricky Paz from Valparaiso University who's going to be leading the charge for this first safety car restart. And it's going to be so important to get a great start here for drivers like Muhammad Leaf, Jordan Johnson, get up to the front of the pack as quick as they can. We have a couple drivers out due to damage in that first lap. We saw, obviously, Andrew Burrell spin across the track and just get absolutely smeared by Bradley Skanker. Both those drivers out in 18th and 19th now. Hunter Hadesti, we saw he was hit off the track in turn 1. He is also out of this race, but I'm not sure if he's trying to repair damage or if he is just out for the rest of this race. I'm not quite sure, as we only have a few more corners here. The safety car is about to pull off into the pits, and Ricky Paz will become your control car and get this race back to green flag action. Here we go as Ricky Paz becomes your control car. The pace car is about to pull off as we exit turn 9 here at Okayama. Known as Hobbs down into turn 10, the penultimate corner, known as the Mike Knight corner, here at this wonderful Japanese track. One of the iconic tracks here, as Ricky Paz is now your leader. Getting ready to come out of the final corner now. We can see those cars all lined up, and Ricky Paz is going to hold them for as long as possible here. And Ricky Paz is on the gas, a little bit of a wiggle, and we are back to green flag racing here at the Duels in the Formula C Championship. It looks like Muhammad Leaf is going to try to look inside, but it looks like Jordan Johnson is also looking to the inside of Leaf's Ball State teammate of Cale Davis, and he gets that move done. Nobody on that overtake button yet. You don't see any flashing roll hoops quite yet, as Ricky Paz still in the lead, and now Jordan Johnson is going to try to look to make a move on Muhammad Leaf, but Leaf looking to the inside of our leader of Ricky Paz, and he gets the move done. Ricky Paz, a bit of a lockup there, as Leaf is now your leader, and right behind him it's Jordan Johnson. Leaf with the overtake on. Jordan Johnson hits that button, and both drivers stream down to turn 5 now. Also throughout the pack, we see Ricky Paz is trying to make a move back on Jordan Johnson, but Jordan Johnson later on the brakes able to retain that second position right now. So Jordan Johnson doing a good job around the outside there, late on the brakes in the hairpin. Ricky Paz now has to worry about his rear end, as he has Cale Davidson, the driver who finished third in race 1, on his tail, and Ricky Paz has no overtake available, and you see behind him that Cale Davidson has overtake available, so expect maybe to use that button from the Ball State driver down into turn 1. That gap, 0.4 of a second at the moment. We'll ride on board with Cale Davidson coming out of the final corner now. Push to pass is available, but elects not to use it here, maybe waiting until he gets to the longer backstretch down to turn 5 to use the overtake button. Elsewhere in the pack, Dan Banner, your pole sitter, has been relegated to the 11th position just now by Nicholas Stockner out of Clemson University. 4 now. We don't see any overtake yet out of the Ball State University driver, Cale Davidson. I'm surprised he hasn't tried to use that overtake yet. Maybe he thinks that Ricky Paz has some overtake available to him, but he does not. And a big lockup there from Ricky Paz, and a big lockup as well from, I think, Ben Fiore further back. Austin Long is dropping down the field right now. There's a bit of a spin in the hairpin. Traffic jam, so we got to be careful that the Penn College technology driver does not rejoin unsafely, but he gets that car turned around, waits for the field to stream by, so he's going to be in a bit of no man's land now as Dan Banner currently trying to get back at Nicholas Stockner at the moment. Dan Banner from St. Clair College. He was in 11th, but Austin Long spinning caused him to drop down. Looks like Cale Davidson, though, has also gotten past Ricky Paz. Look at that. You see that overtake button is on for Cale Davidson. He got past Ricky Paz, turned that right off. Now Cale Davidson up into 3rd, Ricky Paz down to 4th, and he's got Patrick Stanley, the newcomer to the CIL, right on his tail trying to chase him down. See, looks like all these, actually it looks like Patrick Stanley does not have overtake available to him, still on the cooldown period, so he's not going to be able to get it used. He's not going to be able to use it to get past Ricky Paz, but is he going to be able to do it the old-fashioned way? No overtake system needed. Can he get to that inside? Can he get underneath the Valparaiso driver? We'll have to see. It looks like Ricky Paz is struggling just a little bit, maybe. He's had a couple of lockups here and there, but still doing a good job to hold strong in front of Patrick Stanley right now. As looks like R. Muhammad Leaf and Jordan Johnson from Ball State, Kent State have pulled away from Cale Davidson, and now it's going to just be the front 2 in a pack of their own, and then a pack of wolves right here. 3 cars under a blanket. It's Ricky Paz leading Patrick Stanley and Ferris State University, as well as Ben Fiore and Marist College. We saw there Patrick Stanley had a bit of a rundown to turn 1, but I don't think he had any overtake to help assist on that move, so he was going to have to just sit behind the rear wing of Ricky Paz for a moment there. How much longer until Ferris State gets that overtake back? It's got to be a couple seconds at this point. This time last lap we saw him without any overtake. And right now, there it's on. Overtake is on. About 180 seconds left for the Ferris State driver. Is he close enough to get a move on Ricky Paz? He might have to dive this to the inside. He looks for the move to the inside. Overtake still on for Ferris State. A big lockup, but he gets that car stopped very nicely. A great move from Ferris State and Patrick Stanley there. Really putting his stamp on that move, and a bit of an introduction to the CIL and himself. So a fantastic move, as now he streams off in the distance, and now Ricky Paz has got to worry about Ben Fiore, who's only a couple tenths behind now and also has overtake available. But I think Ricky Paz also has overtake available to defend at this moment. So we'll have to see how these drivers utilize that overtake. You see Patrick Stanley there, roll hoop flashing slowly. He's off the overtake button. A Leaf with a 1:13.517, a blistering lap this early in the race. He is now 2.3 seconds ahead of Jordan Johnson. Those two were swapping lap times last race, but it looks like R. Muhammad Leaf has clean air this time, and he's going to be putting his foot to the floor and trying to build a gap to the Kent State driver behind. Looks like Ben Fiore is on the overtake button. Can he use it to get underneath Ricky Paz before they get to turn 4? No. Ricky Paz is going to know that overtake is on for the Mars College driver behind. He's going to use that to defend going down into turn 5. You see riding on board with Ben Fiore right now. Looks like he took himself off the overtake button. Looks like Ricky Paz didn't have to use it to defend at all there. We don't see that that rear crash structure blinking, but a bit of a lockup there from both Ricky Paz and Patrick Stanley. That's going to bring Ricky Paz right back underneath that rear wing of the Ferris State driver. Great racing action between these three here in the 4th, 5th, and 6th, all within half a second right now. They've been like this for the past 3 or 4 laps, since the restart pretty much. Ricky Paz was your leader on the restart, but has dropped back a few spots since then. Big accident in turn 1 for those of you who missed it. Took out a couple drivers from this race, including Bradley Skanker, Andrew Burrell, and Hunter Hadesti, all out immediately in turn 1 pretty much. This it looks like this 3-car battle has also started to turn into a 4-car battle here, as Lucas Moody has joined the back of this pack right now, and Lucas Moody has his overtake on, so he's looking to make a move for that 6th position on Ben Fiore at the moment. Streaming out of turn 3 towards turn 4, one of the best spots to set up your overtake. You really got to sweep your way around this corner, get yourself set up to use that overtake down this long back stretch down into the best overtaking spot on the track, turn 5, the hairpin. You got to be on that inside line as Ben Fiore under attack from Lucas Moody in Ball State University. A big move there. Oh, Lucas Moody locks up the brakes. He's going to spin. Lucas Moody too deep into the brakes. It looks like he was going to get into the side of Ricky Paz, and Ben Fiore, the unfortunate victim in that incident. He loses the front wing. He's going to have to come in and replace that. So unfortunate for Ben Fiore. He was relinquishing the position there pretty much. He had given up that spot and given the inside to Lucas Moody, but too deep under the brakes. A lockup and a spin from Lucas Moody not only takes himself out, but affects the race of Ben Fiore as well. Jason Wallet and Nicholas Stockner going side by side here through turn 8 and 9. This is alumni v student action right now. Clemson University on the inside in the orange and black. Drexel on the outside in the blue and the navy and yellow. Looks like Clemson University will hold on to that position for now as Ben Fiore pulls into the pit lane, and he will be taking a new front wing. Down into turn 1 side by side, Drexel and Clemson, and Drexel is going to come out on top of that one. A good move, but Clemson's going to try to pull the over-under here. A great move to try to cut that one back, but Nick Stockner cannot get it done. Nick Stockner will have to settle for 7th at the moment, as Jason Wallet will steam his way up into 8th actually. The dive to the inside there from Nicholas Stockner. He wants that position back. He's going side by side. These two are fighting. No overtake for either of them right now. We see that looks like Jason Wallet and Drexel is on cooldown, but Nick Stockner has overtake available, and he's not using it. He's going to try to conserve that. A big lockup there from the 124 car of Clemson University, but he's able to hold on to the position. A good fight back, a good dive down at turn 4, but Jason Wallet will look inside and think better of it. He doesn't want to get involved in any incidents too early on, as we still have over 15 laps left in this race, as Clemson University is under pressure from not only Jason Wallet, but St. Clair College as well. Dan Banner, he has been fighting these two for a little bit as well. Jason Wallet really strong there coming out of the last corner. A little bit slow from Clemson University, not using that push to pass, that overtake button to defend at the moment. You see that flashing purple light on the steering wheel of Jason Wallet. That means that he is on the cooldown period, so he has to wait a few more seconds. Man, Jason Wallet really wants to get past Nick Stockner, and he really wishes he had that overtake right now. I think Nick Stockner just very strong in turn 4, a bit deep, and a bit of a lockup there from the Clemson University driver. And these two are going to drag race their way down to turn 5. Side by side, who's going to come out on top? Neither driver using overtake. This is all pure racing action here in the Formula C series with these Super Formula cars. A bit of a lockup there from the number 124 again, and Jason Wallet had the inside line. He's going to use it to make himself into the 7th position. Going to move from Drexel University, and now he needs to pull away as fast as he can, because Nick Stockner does have the overtake, and now you see Jason Wallet's cooldown period is over. He's going to be able to have that overtake to defend now into turn 1. The gap right now between Wallet and Stockner currently sitting at about 0.4 seconds. I think Jason Wallet is happy to have a little bit of clean air in front of him now. We saw Wallet kind of getting off the gas a little bit when he didn't want to when Stockner was holding him up. Neither driver on the push to pass right now. Take that back. Nicholas Stockner using the loud button as he uses that overtake to get back to the rear wing of Jason Wallet. You hear, big lockup there from Nick Stockner on the Clemson University, the 124, the alumni. He's going to lose a little bit of time there. Jason Wallet coming out of turn 4. But listen to this engine as you get down into the braking zone. Listen to that crunkle of the engine of the Super Formula car. Didn't happen there. We heard it in turn 4, but we didn't hear it in turn 5 there. An incredible sounding car as you hear it as he comes off the gas there. Just that backfire of the inline 4 turbocharged engine producing 545 horsepower. It's Nick Stockner now. Another big lockup there as he's losing more time to Jason Wallet ahead. The gap now 1.2 seconds. So Jason Wallet able to get past the Clemson University driver, is able to steam off in the distance. Still a very good showing from Nick Stockner, up 10 spots from his starting position. Aiken Lamar in 6th right now, up 11 spots. So fantastic races for those two. Biggest loser of the night, Lucas Moody. He's currently in the pits. We saw him with a bit of an incident in the hairpin earlier on while trying to make a move on Ben Fiore. Ben Fiore still up 4 spots from his starting spot, but Hunter Hidesti down 12 spots. Andrew Burrell down 16 and out of this race. So unfortunate for those guys, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes you have some incidents in turn 1, and maybe it's not your fault, maybe it is, but you got to come back stronger. Next week will be the first points-paying race, so expect some good actions to occur there as well as these drivers get their footing for the start of the season. Getting word from our race director that we did have a safety car period, so we might get close to the race time limit of 35 minutes. But our race director says most likely this race will go the full distance of 25 laps. So don't expect the time to be a factor here. Maybe a bit of a longer race than the first one due to that safety car period, but either way, it's still going to provide plenty of racing action. We still have over 10 laps remaining in this race as Ricky Paz right now is trying to get to the back of Patrick Stanley and use that overtake and try to make his way up into the 4th position right now. We see overtake on cooldown right now for the Valparaiso driver, even though the gap's at 1.75 seconds. We see the overtake coming out from Ferris State there. That fast click and roll hoop lets us know he's on the loud pedal, or the loud button, I should say. And it looks like Valparaiso tried to make a move down the inside there, couldn't quite get it to stick. That overtake coming in handy there, Ferris State. Patrick Stanley will hold on to 4th place, but we saw how close Ricky Paz got, even when he couldn't use overtake. So I think Patrick Stanley will use a bit too much of his tires, and maybe they're overheated, or maybe he's using a bit of focus. But right now, Ricky Paz definitely the faster of the two as they come to finish this lap here through the final 2 corners now. Fast right-handers putting a lot of load through those left-handed tires. A bit of a rear lockup there from Ricky Paz. We saw that rear end slide out a little bit as he entered turn 1. Lucky he was able to catch that and keep going. I think right now, if I'm Ricky Paz, you just got to be consistent. You got to be methodical and keep it under your, keep that car under you. As we look further back down in the pack, we saw a battle between Dan Banner and Stockner earlier. Dan Banner was able to get past Nicholas Stockner. I think Nicholas Stockner had a little bit of a foray off the track, and Nicholas Stockner is going to look back to the inside of turn 1. A great move from the Calypso University driver. A bit of a wiggle on exit, though, and that might allow Dan Banner to fight this one back. But Nick Stockner able to get that position back after having a bit of an adventure off the track. Austin DeLong from Penn College of Technology also in this fight. None of these drivers have overtake or none of these drivers are utilizing overtake right now. Looks like all the drivers have it available to them, and now Stockner is using that overtake to get a little bit of a gap between him and Dan Banner, but it looks like Patrick Stanley has been overtaken by Ricky Paz as well. There might have been contact between the two of them at one point. We're going to have to get a replay of that. Not quite sure what's happened. My timing tower is showing contact between Ricky Paz and Stanley, so we'll get a replay of that right as soon as this battle between Austin DeLong and Dan Banner cools off a little bit. Dan Banner, a bit slow, a bit of a lockup there, and the gap between them has increased dramatically here. So we're going to get a replay here momentarily of Patrick Stanley and Ricky Paz maybe involved in a bit of a crash. We'll see. They're coming out of the hairpin into turn 6. Turn 7, this other quick left-hander. Oh, a spin from Ferris State. No contact between the two drivers, just a harmless spin. Good job by Ricky Paz to hit the brakes and realize what was happening in front of him. But Ricky Paz able to move himself up into the 4th position. Looks like Aiken Lamar has also gotten his way past Patrick Stanley. Patrick Stanley, I guess, just recovering a bit from the spin, still lost another spot. Now Austin DeLong from Penn College Technology looking to move up into 8th. Trying to make a move on Clemson University's Nick Stockner right now. Ben Fiore also trying to make a move on Drexel's Timothy Wilms. Looks like Ben Fiore able to easily dispatch the Drexel car of Timothy Wilms. I see DeLong maybe look to the inside there in turn 8 and then turn 9. He's really trying to get past that Clemson University car in front. Right now, no overtake for DeLong. He has the cooldown period active. For Nicholas Stockner, I also believe his cooldown period is active as they enter down into turn 1 now. So neither driver have overtake available to them. It's going to be an old school straight up race. It looks like the cooldown period for Stockner has just ended. So Stockner will be able to utilize that overtake button to defend from DeLong. Yeah, look at that. You can see that flashing roll hoop on DeLong and the solid green roll hoop of Stockner. That goes to show what their status is of the push to pass and the overtake. Now both drivers with overtake available if they want to use it. Obviously, there's still a few laps remaining in this race, so how much overtake do you want to conserve? How much are you willing to use now as we get into these final laps? It's all a battle of conservation. In some of these shorter sprint races, maybe it doesn't play as big of a role, especially around a track as short as this, where you can only use it once a lap, if that. But still a very important role. It's a bit of a wiggle there out of Austin DeLong entering turn 8, now through turn 9. He's lost a little bit of ground, I believe, to Nicholas Stockner ahead. Patrick Stanley, after having a spin earlier, has collected himself and is now back to the rear wing of Aiken Lamar. That gap at about 0.6 of a second. Ben Fiore also on a charge after being involved in an incident earlier on. He's about to make a move on Dan Banner, and he already gets that move done before I can even get the words out of my mouth. So I think Dan Banner is just trying to run his own race right now, but Ben Fiore up into 10th after involved in contact with Lucas Moody earlier. Patrick Stanley now with he's under half a second away from the Howard Community College car of Aiken Lamar. Oh, a bit of a wiggle there from Patrick Stanley. That's going to cost him a ton of time. He loses half a second to the car in front. We see Jason Wallet behind as well. Can Jason Wallet get his way up into 6th and make it his way past Fair State's Patrick Stanley? Jason Wallet had a bit of a quiet race, but he's slowly but surely been marching his way towards the front. Just consistent lap after lap, and now that gap under a second for Jason Wallet. A good race for the Drexel Esports driver. We'll see if he can get the move done before the end of the race, though. As catching is one thing and passing is another. As at the front of the field, our Muhammad Ali, a dominant performance here in the second race. The gap to Jordan Johnson, 5 whole seconds, not 0.5 of a second. Right now, Austin DeLong still chasing down Nicholas Stockner ahead. These two CIL veterans have been racing each other a while. We see overtake is not available for DeLong, but it is available for Stockner. So DeLong must use that overtake to get back to the rear wing of Stockner, and now he's kind of paying the price. You've got to pay the piper when you use that overtake button, because you can use it to get to the rear wing of a driver. But if you aren't able to get that move done in time, you're going to have to sit and wait for maybe a lap or two. But now, that overtake is back for the Penn College Technology driver, as we see smoke there, a bit of a lockup from Nicholas Stockner. Able to hold on to the position, though, in the gap. 3/10 of a second exiting turn 7, down to turn 8. Who's going to use overtake here? Nobody. It's such a short straight. You don't really want to use overtake on these shorter straights, but you could also use it when your opponent's not expecting it. So, as we come down to the final 5 laps now, looks like our Muhammad Ali with a commanding 5-second lead, and Stockner is leading DeLong and Ben Fiore. Fiore is really on a charge here. Maybe he got some fresh tires while he was in the pits due to a damage to his front wing. So he could be absolutely flying on fresh rubber compared to some of the other drivers out here who are now on 20-lap-old Yokohama tires. Overtake is on for Mars College's Ben Fiore right now. You see that green flashing steering wheel, the green screen on the steering wheel as well, with big words, overtake on. He's looking to make the overtake into the hairpin. Ben Fiore in the red 25 for Mars College makes the move on Austin DeLong to move himself up into the 9th position. A great recovery after being involved in some contact that was just entirely not his fault. Nick Stockner now is the next victim in line for Fiore. How long can Stockner hold off? We saw he hasn't used overtake in a while now, and Fiore is on cooldown, so he's not going to be able to use overtake for at least another lap here, but Fiore has been flying, is on likely fresher tires, as Aiken Lamar has now entered the pit lane, and that's going to give everybody who passes him a little bit of a free position, as Ben Fiore now trying to make the move on Nicholas Stockner. Stockner, he's not going to defend this one too hard. He's going to hold the racing line down into turn 1, and Fiore gets the move done. Stockner fighting this one around the outside, but he's going to relinquish the position. No, he fights this one back to turn 3, or turn 2, I should say. But Fiore just too quick on those faster tires. I think he's just got fresher tires, and you can just see the grip difference between Fiore and Stockner. You can just see how much more confident he is on the brakes and through some of those high-speed corners. As Fiore, he's going to look inside. He's going to try to defend this one. Stockner is going to try to attack down the inside as well. Stockner, will he get that car stopped in time? He does, but Fiore steams around the outside. He's able to hold on to the position. And Morris College is going to try to set his sights forward now as we get into this technical last sector where tire grip is so important. And in some of these off-camber corners, I think the 25 is going to have the advantage here. Bit of a lockup there deep into the corner for Nicholas Stockner and Clemson. That gives Austin DeLong the chance to fight back around the outside there. But through these last couple of corners, the 2 quick right-hand corners, you're going to have to relinquish that position if you're on the outside there. So Stockner and DeLong have had a very, very good fight these past couple of laps as they steam down into turn 1. Stockner still in the lead. We see that overtake is now active for Nicholas Stockner. And it looks like the cooldown period is still active for DeLong as well, so Stockner's got to use this time to his advantage, pull out as big of a gap as possible over Austin DeLong, excuse me. As we see I think that is our leader, R. Muhammad Leaf, lapping DeLong right now, so leader's getting involved in this fight a little bit. Stockner still has his overtake button on. He's really using as much of that overtake as possible, but Alif, he's going to have the faster car in these next couple of corners as the leader, but Stockner has the overtake, and he's fighting for position right now. Remember, this blue flag is not mandatory. This is not like Formula 1 where you need to have the, you need to move over when you're given the blue flag. So Stockner is using the leader as a bit of a pick right now for DeLong, and he's going to give up the position here. He's going to allow our Muhammad Alif to lap him here. Now DeLong gets back to within a couple tenths of a second. Really unfortunate there for Nicholas Stockner. He had the advantage by having the overtake available, but the leader lapping him cost him so much time relative to Austin DeLong. I think DeLong recognized that, tried to get out of the way early, and then use our Muhammad Alif overtaking Stockner as an opportunity to catch back up, even though Stockner had the overtake active. Oh, contact there between DeLong and Stockner. I believe DeLong has activated his overtake system here. No, it's still on cooldown, so this is just DeLong having a bit faster of a car underneath him, and we see behind Jordan Johnson trying to lap these couple of cars here as well. None of these cars in the pack. Actually, DeLong now has his overtake active again, so he'll be able to use that to get past Stockner when this leader is able to lap Stockner. It looks like he'll do it there. Jordan Johnson's through these back markers right now. But another fight that's also starting to heat up as well is the fight between Wallet and Stanley for the 6th position. That's Drexel v. Fair State for the 5th position, excuse me. As we only have 2 laps left now for our drivers. DeLong is in a humongous fight, really, with Stockner. As really, if Stockner is able to hold on here, I think he's going to have overtake here momentarily. As the white flag is now out, Stockner, if he has overtake, he might as well use it now. Alif sets a 112.9, a blistering lap here for the Ball State College driver, Ball State University driver, excuse me. As we are on the final lap now, 1 lap to go here, and our Muhammad Alif has a commanding 5-second lead. Right now, the closest fight on track, Drexel University's Jason Wallet looking to get into the top 5 with a move on Patrick Stanley here. Nick Stockner and Austin Long have 1 lap to go, but these two on your screen now have yet to take the white flag, so we'll have a whole nother lap as it looks like Nick Stockner has turned on the overtake button, is pulling away from Austin Long, who is now in the cooldown period for that. As we see overtake active for the Drexel driver, will overtake be active for Ferris State? It will be both drivers on overtake for this final lap, but who has enough overtake to make it to the end? Jason Wallet still about 0.4 of a second behind right now, but at the front of the pack right now, our Muhammad Leaf has dominated this race from start to finish pretty much, and our Muhammad Leaf is coming across the line now to take the checkered flag to win race 2 here at the Formula C Duels at Okayama. Comes home in second. It's Jordan Johnson and Cale Davidson a couple seconds behind these folks, but Jason Wallet right now, these two are your last two drivers on the lead lap right now, and they're providing us a fight for the ages right now. As we see, looks like Ferris State University's Patrick Stanley is out of overtake. You saw that roll hoop. It's flat. It's bashing slowly. So the onus is all on Jason Wallet right now. Can he get this overtake done? It's going to be so important coming out of this last on this last straightaway here. Can Jason Wallet get underneath Ferris State? Not quite here, but it's going to be a drag race to the line for these two drivers. Overtake is off for Jason Wallet. He is out of overtake. It's depleted. Correct, actually, it's only 13 seconds, so he has just enough to make it to the line. The gap 0.3 coming into the final corner now. Who's going to take this 5th spot? Ferris State. The gap 3.5 right now, but Ferris State too far ahead, and he will take home 5th place for Ferris State University. And Drexel University's Jason Wallet will come home in 6th. So not quite enough overtake for Jason Wallet to make the move in the end. Ferris State had just enough to stay ahead. A fantastic race between those two to finish off your second of 2 races tonight here at the Duels at Okayama for the Formula C Grand Prix. It's been a fantastic race, as our Muhammad Leaf now will come across the line to take his victory lap with his Ball State teammates, celebrating a great race. Ball State 1 and 3. Our Muhammad Leaf showing his dominance. Once he gets into that clean air, man, it is hard to stop the Singaporean driver. So it is going to be our Muhammad Leaf to take home the victory here in race 2. To start off a fantastic season and a fantastic new era of the Formula C Championship, transitioning from those Formula 4 cars to these more powerful Super Formula cars with lots more downforce and an overtake system, which provides an incredible strategy element to these races that we didn't quite necessarily have before. As we let our drivers celebrate here, as they do a little bit of burnouts, getting those rear tires nice and warm, using that powerful engine, really putting some rubber down on this starting grid. As these drivers celebrate, let's go ahead and take a look at our results here in the second feature race for the evening. Your winner, our Muhammad Leaf, having a fantastic race, dominating, getting the lead early on and not looking back. He will come home in the first position, followed by Jordan Johnson about 5 seconds behind him. Behind them, Cale Davidson, the Ball State driver, will come home in 3rd, and 4th will be Ricky Paz out of Valparaiso University. 5th, a newcomer to the CIL, a rookie, Patrick Stanley, a fantastic showing in the second race, will come home in 5th for Ferris State. In 6th, Jason Wallet for Drexel University. Just couldn't quite get there in the end to Ferris State. We'll have to settle for that 6th position, but it's still a very good race for the Drexel Esports driver. 7th, Ben Fiore, after contact with Lucas Moody early on in the race at the hairpin, recovered nicely to finish 7th. 8th will be Nicholas Stockner for Clemson. 9th, Austin DeLong from Penn College of Technology. 10th will be Dan Banner from St. Clair College. 11th is Timothy Wilms out of Drexel University, and a couple drivers who did not finish this race. Aiken Lamar out of Howard Community College, Lucas Moody from Ball State, Clint Halterman from North Carolina at Charlotte, Alexander Diamond from Drexel, Mark Turek in 16th for Penn College of Technology, and then in 17th, 18th, and 19th is Burl, Hadesti, and Skinker all involved in the lap 1 incident. Did not even get to turn 2, and an unfortunate end to their night. But I think now it's about time we hear from some of our drivers here in this race, some of our podium finishers. So let's go ahead and talk to our third place finisher. It's going to be Cale Davidson out of Ball State University. Cale, 2 third places tonight. A bit of a lonely race for you. First race of the Super Formula car. How did that go from your end?
I'd say it went pretty decent. Obviously, I like the car a lot, but this car and track combination definitely is pretty challenging with all the low speed corners. And kind of going into that second race, I may or may not have kind of caused part of the first lap incident there, but that gave me a 10-second penalty. And kind of once I saw Leaf and Jordan take off, I knew it wasn't me versus them. It was kind of me versus putting a 10-second gap so that I can still hold on to that podium. So I just kind of, even though I was kind of by myself, I was still racing myself pretty hard.
Yeah, for sure. And go ahead, talk us through that first race as well. I'm sure with the nerves must have been pretty high, with this new car and new track combo. Obviously, the overtake element being such an important role in this car. Uh, Lonely first race as well, but how do you keep yourself focused when there's not a whole lot going on around you?
Yeah, so the first race was, I'd say we kind of used this as a learning experience. So the first race, I was just kind of adapting to everything. I got a good start and I got ahead of Clint, but Clint had a lot faster race pace during that race. So I knew I would just hold on to my overtake that I had, and then I was able to kind of hold him off. But he gained about like 5 seconds on me in the last, like, I'd say 10 laps of that first heat race. So kind of knowing that he was faster and then knowing that he's starting to head the next race. When we got the caution for the second race, since I was behind a Leaf at that point, I was like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing in basically the last 2 sectors of the track. And then during that yellow flag, he basically ran us through it.
Yeah, for sure, Kale. Super interesting race. It was a lot of fun to watch up here in the booth. Maybe a bit lonely from your perspective, though, but I think you know the drill by now. Anybody want to thank or shout out on the broadcast this evening?
Yeah, obviously, I want to shout out all my teammates. So, Leaf, Bradley, Lucas, and then our Oval team as well. And then thanks to Dan Marino and Brent BK for making this all possible, our esports directors. I also want to shout out my mom and my dad. And then also shout out to my grandma because she just had surgery yesterday and she is recovering very well.
Well, awesome. We wish your grandma all the best, and once again, congratulations. 2 third place finishes, new car, stayed out of the trouble mostly. Can't ask for much more than that, Kale.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. And that was Kale Davison, your third place finisher out of Ball State University. A really good race for him this evening, so expect to see him on the podium a lot. But incident in the first race cost him a couple seconds, but in the end, quick enough to pull out a 10-second gap to avoid that penalty. But coming up next in the booth is going to be your second place finisher in Jordan Johnson. Jordan, we saw you had a fantastic first race, but a little bit of side pod damage allegedly in the second race. Go ahead. What happened?
Yeah, I just got a ridiculously good launch into turn one in race two. Then when we rolled into turn one, whoever's on my inside, I think it was Ricky, just picked up a ton of understeer and just drove me off track. A little bit of a punt. It wasn't anything major, but it was a couple tenths per lap. And so I just carried on from there. Think I could have definitely probably been pushing right onto a leaf otherwise, but it definitely made the car struggle quite a bit initially before I got used to it. From there, just kind of drove the best I could. Some lap traffic decided to battle really hard against us. It was an interesting race two, but I did what I could.
Yeah, for sure. But I think I want to talk about race one a little bit because we saw you had a fantastic defense against our Muhammad Leaf for pretty much the entire second half of that race. We saw how important the use of the overtake button was in that race. Were you able to see that roll hoop activate in the rear view mirror, and were you able to kind of mirror drive a little bit to figure out when you could use that overtake button?
I was hoping to be able to do that, truthfully, because I know iRacing has put out a little document telling you what each of the lights mean. But unfortunately, no, it does not appear to show up in the virtual mirror in my settings. So I just kind of had to take a guess at when Alif was gonna hit the button and use a little bit of a judgment call. I'd watch the relative sometimes, but normally if they're already gaining on the relative, it's too late. So it was mostly just discretion, trying to guess where he would press it based off of if I was in his shoes and go from there. By the end of the race, I had an absurd amount of push to pass at the end. I ran almost the last 2 laps on overtake. So I just kind of went through it from there. Learned a little bit and used a little bit more throughout the race and race 2, but no. It's a bit tricky one, that's for certain.
Yeah, Jordan, honestly, we saw pretty much every time Alif was hitting the overtake button, you were right on that button immediately afterwards. So not even being able to see that roll hoop start to flash, it's even more impressive just being so in tune with kind of what you expect your fellow racing drivers to do. But before we send you on your way this evening, is there anybody you want to thank or shout out on the broadcast tonight?
Yeah, of course. I've recently announced on all my socials, picked up by Apex Racing Academy. So, of course, them for giving me the opportunity of a lifetime to run with them. And, of course, I'll realize myself with them a little bit more before I say anything because I don't want to pick any names incorrectly. But thank you guys for the support. Thank you for the team. It's going to be a really great year coming up, and you should see me running with them coming over to Daytona next week.
Awesome. Well, congratulations again. A win and a second place finish, Jordan. Nothing to scoff at. So I think we'll be seeing more of you up here in the booth again sometime soon, man. Take it easy.
Thank you.
And that was your second place finisher, Jordan Johnson out of Kent State University, a very, very fast driver in his own right. And unfortunate for him to have a little bit of side pod damage in that second race, which meant he couldn't quite keep up with the ever electric R. Muhammad Alif. But that first race sure provided enough fireworks at the front to kind of keep us satisfied until the next time. But speaking of R. Muhammad Alif, let's bring the man himself in now. It's R. Muhammad Alif out of Ball State University joining us in the booth. Alif, you got a copy?
Yep, can hear you guys.
Well, Alif, congratulations on that second race victory, as well as a very, very compelling race 1. We were just talking to Jordan Johnson, and he couldn't see your roll hoop activation light for the overtake button in the rear view mirror. But obviously,
yeah, I couldn't see it either. So
obviously, the overtake button being so important to make overtakes around here, how much of a factor did that play in both races tonight?
I think the faster the cars get, the more it becomes more of a chess match than anything. So I think at the end of the day, that was what it was in race 1 and race 2. Just constant, moving the pieces around and seeing opportunities, finding opportunities, and kind of taking them. And Jordan took it very well in race 1, and I took the opportunity well in race 2, and we each capitalized it on our own court.
Yeah, Alif, we saw race 1, you had a bit of a poor jump off the line, and that allowed Jordan Johnson to get ahead. How much are those starts in that first race impacting your starts in the second race? With this car having launch control and being just so much more difficult to start off the line compared to the Formula 4 cars we used last season.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we all do preseason anyways, to kind of find these differences and then kind of fix them as a team. So I'm glad we kind of caught it this early with like a week to go. So yeah, lots to learn, lots to find out in time for Suzuka.
Well, awesome. Once again, congratulations on a race victory and a second place tonight. 2 very, very entertaining races. But before we send you on your way tonight, is there anybody you want to thank or shout out on the broadcast this evening?
Yeah, my whole team, all my teammates for putting in all the work. Kale, Lucas, Bradley, and the other guys from the oval side as well as Dan Marino, PK, who's our esports directors and assistant directors, and our dean, who's Dean Turner. So yeah, and as well as my family from Singapore.
Well, awesome. Congratulations once again, Alif. Super fun watching your race, and I'm sure we're going to hear from you plenty this season. Take it easy, man.
All right, see you guys.
Once again, that was our race 2 victor, R. Muhammad Alif. A fantastic race from him tonight in both race 1 and race 2. So that's just a bit of a preview on what's to come this season. And I think you heard it from Cale Davidson that this is a very, very tricky track to open up the season with in the duels. Non-points paying race, so what happened here tonight will not impact the rest of the season. But it's a bit of a preview for kind of what we can expect in the next couple of weeks as we head to Suzuka in a week's time to take on that iconic, that legendary track, high-speed corners all around. The S's. It's going to be an incredible race to watch at the Japanese Grand Prix. And I think we saw a bit of a preview of how that overtake button is going to be used in the future as well. Not a super fast track where you might have a lot of long straightaways and drafting that could come into play, but even out of turn 4 and into the hairpin, we could see just how potent that overtake button was. And seeing how that's going to be used throughout the course of the season and how these drivers might learn on how to use it differently or in different ways to maybe catch an opponent off guard, catch another driver, maybe sleeping on the overtake button, or maybe using it to bait them into using it too much, right? Imagine drivers coming out of corners, they hit it for maybe a second to get it to start flashing, maybe catch up a tenth or two to get their opponent to hit the button, and then they turn it off. That's going to be something that's going to be interesting to watch over the next couple of weeks, but for now, that's going to do it for us tonight here at the Formula C Championship. Be sure to tune in next week, or excuse me, be sure to tune in tomorrow night for our inaugural CIL Collegiate Prototype Challenge, using the some of those GTP cards which have become popular in IMSA, as well as the World Endurance Championship. The roar for that tomorrow at VIR will be tomorrow at 9 o'clock, so be sure to tune in if you want to see some prototype racing action. And starting next week, we will get the CIL season underway properly as we head to round 1 at Auto Club Speedway for the CIL Cup Series for the Never Forget Jeremy Miller in 200, presented by Apollo Motorsports. So be sure to tune into the inaugural race of the CIL Cup Series season, as well as in 1 week's time, be sure to tune in to the first points-paying round of the Formula C Championship, the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka. But that's going to wrap us up here from Okayama. I'm Matthew Nordberg, and on the behalf, it's been a long broadcast, but on the behalf of everyone here at the CIL who makes these races popular, we want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight to the Duels. Be sure to tune in next week, and as always, stay fast.